Welcome to a new episode of Outside the Panels with your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes.
Welcome everyone to an episode of Outside the Panels. I'm your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes, and as you know, every now and again, I like to take a walk on the wild side. No comic genre is untouchable to me. So that said, let me introduce to you our next writer, artist, creator. It is the ultra talented Jonathan Schlapp. Jonathan, how's it going?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Things are going great here. How are you?
I'm all right. Actually, I'm a few days away from my vacation. So
Perfect.
So I'm just sort of like trying to get my feet all nice and cozy, ready.
Yeah, wrap everything up.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. It's funny because vacations are kind of one of the topics for your book, right? You have a book coming out on the 20th of September called Order of the Night Chair. The Forest Beckons.
Ominous.
Tell us a little bit about the book. What's the story behind the book?
So the book is a graphic novel for middle graders. That's children for about 8 to 12 years old, roughly speaking. It's a summer camp book. So it is about a character named Frank. He's a bear, and he is off to this summer camp for the first time, Camp Jaybird. He feels very out of place because it's a camp for smaller animals. So you can see a raccoon on the cover. There's squirrels, hedgehogs, beavers, just all kinds of smaller animals. And he is a larger animal. He towers over everybody physically. So everybody's very nervous about him being there until they figure out that he is actually really timid. He is really timid, really shy. I like to think of it as he's big on the outside, but feels small on the inside.
God bless him.
Right? But he makes a friend. His friend is Ricky, the raccoon, the other character in the cover there, who is, I like to think of as the exact opposite. He is small on the outside, but big on the inside. He's very impulsive. He's got a lot of funny ideas. He doesn't really care what other people think. And as they go to camp, they discover a cave out in the woods, and they find some long hidden secrets out in this cave, and that gets the ball rolling. This is the first of a trilogy, so I'm super excited for this to come out and get the ball rolling here.
Excellent. What was the inspiration behind it then? Obviously the characters being diametrically opposed to each other. Is this kind of is it based on people you know? Is it an experience thing for yourself?
It's based on people. It's based on a person I know, and that person is me.
Hey, Mark Twain did say, "Write what you know."
Absolutely,
people do take that literally.
Absolutely, it's hard to. I didn't go out. This is my first book, by the way. This is the first thing I've ever really written, and I didn't set out to write myself in those two characters. But it just kind of happens where these are the comfortable characters I feel comfortable writing. These are the personality traits, and it all started actually from a painting I did. I'm a painter, is where I'm coming from. I'm not really coming from comics as much, although I've done some comic work in the past. So this is very new. There's a kind of a painting behind me right there. That's one I did. Nice. Not one of my better ones, but it's bright and colorful, and I like it. But I did a painting of the two characters, Ricky and Frank. They didn't have those names then. But I did this painting, and they had just climbed a mountain, and Frank was very big and sweaty because he was exhausted, and Ricky was like, "Yay, we made it." And I had to write the story behind those characters. I have been thinking about my paintings as being like single pages out of a longer story for a while. And I wanted to have something that I could start, pushing, selling. I wanted to get published. I tried picture books for a long while. But at a certain point I said, you know what, graphic novels, that felt more me. That felt more true to me. And so I ran with those two characters.
Do you find that from a graphic novel point of view, because you're the writer and artist, you like that creative control? As opposed to being, I'm going to say the word just, and I don't mean it this way, but if you are the artist, you've got to just worry about the art. And if you're the writer, you've got to worry about the writing.
It's interesting you bring that up, because I just a few weeks ago reconnected with a high school friend, and it's amazing because they have also like gotten into comics. You know, we haven't talked in like 20 years, but they're doing just the writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, my brain just does not work this way. Like they sent me some of their scripts and like, yeah, this is some of the stuff I do. I'm like, yeah, I know people write this way and work this way, but I just cannot do it. You know, like I'm very organic, and I gotta like see the characters. So it's very much an organic kind of like in their process where I just have to just start drawing right away.
So you're all in, is basically what we're saying, right?
Pretty much. You know, I get an outline going and I say, I kind of know what I want to do. I want to know what the characters run into, but then how they actually get there, or maybe they change their minds when they're there. They don't want to go there. They want to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to climb the mountain. They want to go canoeing today. Okay, great. You're going canoeing today.
Yeah.
So
with the book being so intrinsically linked to yourself, do you find that that's a challenge then to take on board some of the other characters that appear in the book, or write other characters for other stories that you've got?
It always, you know, like I'm always nervous about writing outside of my own experience. You know, like I want to be representative. I want to be inclusive. I want people to feel like, you know, especially a book for kids, I don't want somebody to pick it up and say, oh, well, this doesn't include me specifically, or, you know, it feels like I'm excluded from this story. So that's kind of why I went with animals as characters.
That's
animals are fun, but at the same time, like you can kind of put, you know, without calling out a specific race or religion or ethnicity or sex or gender, any of that, you can kind of just put yourself in there and just kind of look at the characters more like tropes might be, you know, too reductive of a word, but you can look at them and kind of get a sense of what their personalities are based on what animal they are.
And it's those personalities that are key to the inclusivity, because everybody through their life will have felt like they're an outcast, that they're bigger on the outside and, you know, soft in the inside. You know, we're all TARDIS. We're all TARDIS every now and again. Doctor Who quote there. But there are also those times in life when we feel bigger than life and we're like, "Way, we're going to take on the world." I think that's a really good kind of observation. I think because I'm all for diversity in comic books and in books, but what I see frequently is that what is classed as diverse is actually promoting one particular element whilst not promoting the other one. So that's kind of like, whilst it's diverse, it's not equal.
It's a delicate line to walk, you know, and it's a tricky space to be in. And I think, you know, for me, as I'm white, I'm straight, I'm male, I'm cisgendered, it's not my place to tell any of those stories. So the most I can do is say, you know, hope to encourage people to kind of be open to other experiences. And that's one of the things I really want people to get out of the book, you know, which is why I kind of go through and I have those little vignettes of some of the other characters, and you get to see some of their backstory and why they're at camp. You know, Charlie the tortoise, who's kind of one of my favorite characters. I don't know, I just like drawing that character. But he's slow. He's a tortoise, of course.
Yeah, of course he is.
But he likes being slow. You know, people want him to hurry up. Like even his parents are like, "You were a year late to class. What's going on here?" You know? But he's like, "Yeah, but I don't care. I'm enjoying life at my own pace." So you get to see some of those struggles of like, you know, what, you know, as a kid, there's all these expectations that are put on you by the world, like from your parents, your friends, your teachers, you know, people that, you know, you maybe want to please, or, you know, that have, you know, you need to get an A in this class, or you need to become a doctor or whatever. So
the people you think you have to impress, but really don't have to, right?
You really don't have to, you know, and that's one of the things that I ran into a lot as a kid is, you know, not impressing people, but just trying to fit in and trying to get away, just kind of get around without being, you know, too harassed, you know, just kind of like, you know, hide in my corner, like, you guys leave me alone out here, you know, very much like Frank.
It's really quite a personal book then. It's the personal aspects. That, how do you feel putting so much of yourself out there? Because it's, you know, what you're talking about are strong things that kids
Right.
go through.
It's personal, but none of it is like autobiographical. So like I
Feelings
use
are real, though.
I use the character traits, like some of the some of the feelings,
Yeah.
some of the attitudes, but nothing in the book legitimately happened to me. It is.
You mean you didn't have a talking raccoon as a friend? Oh man, geez. What's going on? Oh man, no. Oh.
I did not. No, I'm sorry. Interview's over. Okay. I did have a friend as a skunk though, and he did have a body odor problem. So that
we all know that guy.
Yeah, we know that. So it's a little abstracted. There's some of the fears there, and I play up some things, and I don't get into anything too specific right off the bat. You kind of get a general sense of who the characters are. But I wanted something that was both sensitive and emotional, but also silly and fun and spooky and, those other fun things. I didn't want to write a book where I crammed a message down, like this is the message,
This is the message. In case you miss it, this is the message.
This is the message.
If you miss it again, it's a message again. Yeah,
right.
I get it. Yeah.
So again, that's a really hard thing to do. So I emphasize kind of, I guess, the emotional part of the characters without saying that's the plot. Yeah. Again, the plot is they go into the woods and they find a cave, and everything kind of wraps around that a little bit.
So I mean, it's the feelings that are genuine, aren't they? The fact that regardless of, as you mentioned, anybody's diverse nature who's reading the book, the feeling of us being ostracized, the feeling of trying to avoid people, to avoid the harassment, to just want to get on and do what it is you want to do. Those are genuine feelings, and they're across the board.
Yep.
I know people will say, "Well, what do I know? I'm a white English guy," but kids everywhere get absolutely, get bullied every day, and it could be for something like having long hair or wearing glasses, or it could be anything. So I think the feelings that you're trying to encapsulate are the backbone of the book. I mean, the art's great. I love the cartoon element of the art, but I think if you don't have that backbone behind it, it's just a cute book.
It's just a cute book. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. One of the things that's really kind of blown my mind, speaking of like diversity and having the story open to everybody, is as I was writing it, and I'm writing it from my kind of experience, well, all the characters, all the main characters, all the scouts are kind of boys. They're not specifically, I don't think, called boys. It's not like an all boys camp. The only female character is Edna, who's the camp counselor. So I thought hard about, do I make some of the scouts into female characters to make it more inclusive? And eventually I decided on not doing that. It didn't feel right to kind of force that in there.
That's a shout, yeah.
But I'm getting positive feedback from, readers who are female. And I'm like, hey, that's, I wasn't sure how that was going to translate across, but I'm hopeful that it is, despite, being, they all have male, gendered names, that it's a little bit more universal than that even.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Over here we have the Scouts movement over here in the UK, and it's funny, when I was a kid, it was 90% boys, but they would have girls join the Scouts, mainly if there wasn't there was a brownies, and then they go into whatever the brownie girl guides. But there's, after brownies, sometimes there wasn't a girl guides in the area, so they would have to join the Scouts. And it didn't disrupt anything. It was just like, hey, yeah, come on in. In fact, it helped a lot of guys, a lot of people understand each other better. Because at school you wouldn't talk to them because they're girls, they're still girls. but when you're at Scouts, it's like, right, we've got to learn how to tie a knot or whatever it is you're doing. So it broke down a lot of social barriers for me personally.
So you were in Scouts?
Yeah, back in the day I was a dib, dob, and I'm a woggle on my neck chain and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, me too. I think girls are recently like allowed into Scouts only recently.
Mhm.
You know, the Boy Scouts is no longer just the Boy Scouts; it's Scouts BSA, I think, which is great. I know
Yep.
not everybody's happy with that, but when I was growing up, it was the boys were over here and you know the girls were over there, and they never
Never the
crossed.
two shall meet.
Yeah.
I must admit, I don't know of many boys that join the Girl Guides. I don't know why that is, because the equality math says that if girls can join the boys, then surely the boys can join the girls. I don't know if that's the case now, because you know I'm 50 and I'm far removed from Scouts of any type of nature. So, but if anybody wants to get back in touch with me and let me know what the rules are, by all means, please.
All right.
Right. Should we have a look at the book?
Sure.
We have some preview pages that you were kind enough to submit. And when I looked at them the first time around, I was like, whoa, what's this? And then I worked it out. So there you go. Cool. There we are. Adventures of Super Bear. So this is kind of unique character's alter ego, isn't it, a little bit?
Yeah. So I find in graphic novels, sometimes it's hard to get like a sense of like an inner monologue. You know, what is the character going through? What are they thinking and feeling, you know, from their perspective? Sure, you can have, you know, thought bubbles or, you know, you can do some narrative text, but you still have to have something visual attached to it. Yeah. And I don't know, I haven't come up with a better solution than just, you know, have the character stare off into space for several pages while he thinks thoughts, you know, like and just, you know, through. So early on, and I'm not the first to do this by any means, you know, there's a Diary of a Wimpy Kid is a good example, or New Kid by Jerry Craft. You know, they both have comics that the characters write as part of the story.
Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes, absolutely. One of my big inspirations. So this is, you know, this is a sketchbook or a spiral notebook that Frank, the main character, has, where he's kind of translating his experiences and what he's going through, but where he's the powerful character. He's Super Bear, you know, this crudely drawn bear superhero. You know, as he gets trapped on the planet Bad Camp, you know, he's going off to camp, you know, then here's how he, you know, is struggling with that, but, you know, from a different perspective. So kind of a twist on that inner monologue thing.
I like the line. Where is it? It must be on the second page. Where is it? Have I missed it? Where is it? I've seen it somewhere. It says something like heroes have weakness. All heroes have weakness. Like
I think it's
like dad and math.
Yeah. I think it's even before the page that you first showed.
Is it? Have I jumped to?
There.
Oh, there it is.
There you go. Yep.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, his weaknesses are math and his dad.
Yep.
Sounds like my house in the 70s. No, that's cool. Excellent. So you mentioned Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and we've talked about we brought up Calvin and Hobbes. These are two, I suppose, icons. Can you say icons? Calvin and Hobbes, especially. You mentioned that Calvin and Hobbes were an inspiration. How did young Calvin and his stuffed tiger have such a inspiration for this?
Well, you know, I never got into comic books as a kid. You know, I'm really sad to admit that it felt very inaccessible at the time. You know, I didn't have a lot of money. There wasn't a comic book shop nearby that I felt like I could just go and start looking at things and reading things. It just felt like another world that, you know, was just, you know, not something that, you know, I was like Frank. I didn't go out of my way. I didn't feel like I had the ability to do a lot of things. So Calvin and Hobbes was my exposure to comics, of what comics could be, of, you know, these characters, you know, exploring their childhoods, or Calvin's childhood and Hobbes is, you know, that question mark.
Yeah.
But then they get to go through all these adventures, you know, enter these kind of imaginary dreamscapes, you know, where they blend fantasy and reality together. And then, of course, just the gorgeous art that Will Watterson would do for his Sunday strips. Everything was just so beautiful. And it really showed that, you know, you could get outside of just, you know, just squares,
Yeah.
do all kinds of things.
I remember reading Calvin Hobbes when I was a kid. It was in my grandparents' very serious Daily Express newspaper. But the cartoons that they had, Calvin Hobbes was one of the 2 strips that they had in there. And I remember reading Calvin Hobbes and loving it, right up to the point I realised that the tiger is stuffed when other people are around. At which point, my little brain just went, what's going on? And that made me look at the book totally differently. Totally differently. You know, and Diary of Wimpy Kid, massive success book-wise, massive success on screen as well. A couple of movies, I believe. How did that kind of cross into? Is it just the relationship between the family members and the camp elements again?
I'm sorry. Could you? There was a loud car driving by. Could you?
A loud car? How dare that? I bet that was a Buffalo Bills fan. Yeah,
it probably was. Yeah. I'll ask him to come back.
It knows the Finns are going to do him over twice this year. So, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. How did that influence your book? In the fact, is it a camp thing? Is it a relationship between the characters? How did that kind of?
I have to fess up here. The embarrassing secret is that I have not read it. It's on my to-do list, and I have to read it.
I see all this press saying this is the next Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
I don't know who's coming up with that because it's not me.
Why did I say that? Let me dig it out. All right, okay, that's fine.
I'm I only have so much time. I've got a 5-month-old here. I'll make him read it to me when he's old enough. Yeah.
Even though the topic's slightly different, or in fact totally different, I will admit that I got a little bit of Scott Pilgrim vibes from this. Purely because of that fantasy element. In Scott Pilgrim, it's all about games. In this, it's all about Frank's comic book, from what I've seen. And it's kind of like, I saw like a nice little bridge between the two. Maybe I'm reaching, maybe I'm not. You know, guess what you have to do? Buy the book and find out. Right. Before we go and chase down that Buffalo Bills fan and give him a piece of my Miami Dolphin loving mind, time for a break for one of our other shows. Where should we go? I'll tell you what, check out these guys. It's the Old Timers.
Do you want to find out what makes the professor do his happy dance? Check out the Old Timers Comic Book Show, only on the UCPN.
Yep, the Old Timers Comic Book Show, where the hosts aren't old, but the comics most certainly are. That's it. That's what it's about. Old comics. Go check it out. It's a really good show. It's really good.
I will.
Where did the design come from for the characters?
So,
as a painter, you must have all these. I mean, I've seen your website, and there's loads of stuff on there. Let's have a quick show of the website. There you go. Check it out.
All right.
So how do you down there? Don't click it now. Wait till the pod's finished. Go on. Do one. It's not hard to remember. All right. Sorry, as you were saying.
That's an interesting question. Where did the design of the characters come from? Frank changed a lot, from the original painting. In fact, actually, when I first started sketching, the first chapter, because everything started out as thumbnails, I had an idea of what I wanted to do. He looked so much more like a teddy bear. And it was actually that was yeah, I'm getting the ball rolling. I'm getting it started. And I showed it to a friend and she's like, yeah, but he's not big and scary. I'm like, oh, I'm doing this all wrong. I had to go back and redo everything. I'm not the most, technically minded artist. The characters kind of change and morph, from scene to scene. I do what I can, but, compared to people who do superhero comics, Marvel or DC, they're just, I feel like they're leagues above me in terms of, that technical mastery.
No, stop. This is the best thing about comic books.
Yeah.
Right. Fair enough. It's the superhero books like Bats and Superman and Spider-Man and the Avengers. They're the draw. They're the people, the characters that bring the people into the comic book store. I totally get that. But now we are in a new age. We are in a nuanced age of indie books where not everything has to be kapow, wow, big pecs, curvy women. it can be great storytelling across the board. So it's like DC are doing their Tweenies book with a lot of the Batman stuff. There's a cute one, a Batman Robin, and I can't remember the guy, but it's a kid who goes to the school. Robin goes to school, and they have like this kid thing, this competition, and they play soccer, and it's got nothing to do with superheroes, but it's drawn like a kid drawn it. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a new book out now, Batman's case book, little chibi style Batmans and Batgirls and stuff. It's massive. So please.
Where have you been all my life? I've been working on the sequel, and they all have big packs and they've all got capes. You know,
yeah. I can see Frank with a cap, with like a BS.
Yeah,
a cap and cape. No, but honestly, I swear to God, the amount of diversity when it comes to art style, and story style, it's massive now. You don't have to be a superhero.
I think that's. I thank you for calling me out on that. I struggle a lot with like comparing myself to others. That's something I have to work on a lot.
Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out as called out, but
no, that's okay.
I draw for my own sanity, and I will say right now that I am never going to publish because my art is just daft, but it's just doodles to me. What I will say is I never compare my art to a comic book professional because for me it's just not going to work. What I do compare my work to is the stuff I drew last week and the stuff I drew a month ago.
Yeah.
Because the only person I'm trying to impress right now is me.
Well, I think like I've gotten, there's a lot of expectations out there, I think, you know, and a lot of not great advice about what you should be doing and how things need to be done. And there's, you know, the internet's, I think, sometimes really bad about like, there's a right way to do things because the internet says so, even if there's not. And I struggle with that a lot. So sometimes I'm like, am I really getting published? Is this really happening to me? I don't know if it is. It is. But there's that part of my brain that's still like, nah. So that's something for me to work on.
Right. Okay. So I feel bad now that I've called you out on that. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
It's just I get the creative element is part of is in there. I totally understand it, and I understand where that has to come from at times. But man, when I see work and it looks great, and it doesn't have to be superheroes. It doesn't have to be super serious like Arkham Asylum or Sandman. It can be fun. I mean, Calvin Hobbes, man. Just saying.
Yep.
Right. So we've switched over. This is your website. We saw the earlier link for it. So if people want to have a look through, there's the guys there. Look at them getting lost in the woods. Bless them. And here's some of your art that's on show there. I really like this crow. That crow's really nice. I like that one. Can we see that or not? Is it shown? Yep, there you go. I like the crow. Yeah, I can see the crow. He's cool. Cats. I have a cat. Your art at time can be quite abstract. Is that through? It's quite a change of pace from kind of what we see at the top of the header versus what we see later on your website. Do you find that working in the different contrasts helps the creative juices, as it were?
Can you by contrasts you mean?
So you've got like the cartoony style here at the top.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
and then later on you've got a scary ass crow with a rose and wearing a hat. They're like, you know, it's like whoa. You know, so there's quite a contrast between, I suppose, the cutesy art and the
I think of my work as being more like play. You know, it's all an experiment. You know, I'm always trying new things, and a lot of these, especially if you go further back or further down, you know, you get into some older stuff. And I kind of have done this big sweeping,
I didn't see that the first time.
I've evolved over the years where like my background is actually in fine art photography. That's what my degree is in. You know, I went to school and had a big camera and was just trying to take fine art photographs. and then I moved into collage and then painting, and then from painting, with a paintbrush, I moved into digital painting. So everything's just kind of evolved over the years.
Which do you prefer, digital painting or real painting with real colors?
They're both great for their own reasons. Digital painting, I tend to get very stuck in the weeds. Like I end up with like a million layers and I never know where anything's at because I'm always adding more layers and doing more things, and I tend to overwork things. And I think painting is with a brush on an easel is so much more immediate. I have trouble getting quite as intricate details. You can't quite get that brush, super sharp, but I do my best. And I think there's a spontaneity to painting with a paintbrush that I can't quite replicate on a digital tablet with Photoshop. They're both, I have a painting that's in my basement that I've been working on for probably 3 years now that I keep coming back to periodically. And it's like, oh yeah, I remember I still love doing work this way. Yeah. But for comics, it's just, it's so hard to make mistakes on, a piece of paper and then figure out how to walk those back without bringing that digital element in. And so both have their own positives and negatives.
So I feel your pain because when I draw in pencil, I'm like, yay, look at this, it looks great. Then I get the ink out, and then that's when it goes peak.
Right?
That's it. Once I start applying the ink, I'm like, yep, I can't walk that back.
What have I done?
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick story. I was ill for a while, about 6-7 years ago, and I had enforced time off work, and I saw a Jim Lee picture of a Wonder Woman head, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. And my wife loves Wonder Woman, so I thought, you know what? As a daft little Christmas present, I'll draw this for her. Yeah, because I can draw. It's a head. It won't go wrong. So I ended up doing this picture, and once I got the shape of the face down, I went to the local post office, ran photocopies of it, kept the original at one side.
Excellent.
So that way, then I could then now how am I going to color it?
Right.
How am I going to ink it? Once I got the inks down, I was like, right, I know what I'm doing. So then I inked the original, go and photocopy that. What am I going to do with the hair? And I just was, by the time I finished, I had 44 different copies of this bloody Wonder Woman picture. And
did it come out?
Yeah. I'm just looking for it now when
I'm
talking. I like it and she likes it, so that's all that matters, I suppose. It's really early doors on my phone. Where is that? Yeah, I should have been prepared for this, shouldn't I? bragging about my art.
Is this? Should we break for commercial again?
No, it's fine.
I can do my own commercial. Water. With more water.
Oh, where is it? Aha, there it is.
Oh, lovely.
There you go.
Yeah, very nice.
Looks nothing like Jim Lee's. But hey, there you go. Cool. Hope that was worth the wait.
Yeah.
Right. So the book's out on the 20th of September. Get it anywhere? Buy it anywhere?
Pretty much anywhere.
Internationally?
I believe so. It's a funny story. I submitted everything off to Top Shelf and things were in the works, and they were, my working with Chris was great, for an editor, but after it was done, it was like radio silence for a while. And I'm like, I forget what I was doing, but I needed the catalog page for the book. I wanted to look that up. So I just Googled my own book name. This is me typing down here below the camera. I was just, what was it? And I Googled it, and then it started, and the Google results popped up with Target and Barnes & Noble. And I was like, really? Target and Barnes? What? How'd that happen? So it was just like there were all these pre-order listings that I had no idea were there. It just kind of popped out. So I believe you should be able to get it internationally.
There you go. There is the web link. It's a long one, I'm afraid. So if you want to, by all means, type in your Google topshelfcomics.com. then you'll be able to put Order of the Night, Jay, in their search, and it'll take you there. All right, and of course, as you said, it's in all the big bookstores. Excellent. You mentioned before you weren't a comic book fan growing up. Are you a comic book fan now?
I am really enjoying graphic novels, for middle grade, for young adults. I think, you were mentioning, the kind of new golden age we're in. That was really what kind of swung me towards doing graphic novels. I was trying picture books for a while. I wanted to be a picture book artist because, they always have these big, beautiful illustrations and they're so fun. And then I could not, my brain just does not work that way. I could not.
Context. You need context to what's going on, man.
Right. Yeah. And everything I did was just like a little bit more grown up, a little bit more, older, skewed for older kids. I tried to, everything just kind of, it felt like I was fighting myself for a long while.
Yeah.
And then finally I sat down with an art director. I paid money to have like a portfolio review, and he's like, "You're a middle grade artist." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
That's it.
I had to pay somebody to tell me what to do.
It's like finding the right pair of sneakers. It's like, yes.
Right. And then it was just like, it all just started to click, and that's how the ball got rolling for me.
Cool. Well, I'm glad it got rolling because I absolutely enjoyed the previews pages. I love the idea of the big bear and the kind of insular element that he's got going on, the shy element that he just wants to be, and the contradiction with, of course, the little raccoon who's like really big personality. So it's interesting to see how that's going to play out. I'm going to keep an eye open for it. By
Excellent.
all means. And of course, I would. Yeah, you know how it goes. All right. That's fine. So check out the website. Where are we up to? You've got it on Instagram. There you go. Check Flimsy Robot for all inclusive information about the book. You also have the website. There you go, flimsyrobot.com, where you can have a look at Jonathan's art, not just for this book, but across the board. And then finally, you want to order the book. There you go. You can buy it direct off the website, or you can wait till the 20th of September and queue at Barnes & Noble and Target and wherever else it's going to be in the myriad number of comic book shops that it will be. There you go. There you go. All done. Awesome. All right. Jonathan, thank you so much for spending some time.
Thank
you. really enjoyed our chat. Really looking to see how this book goes and have a couple of ideas, but I'm going to keep them to myself.
All right. Well, you can have me back after it comes out and you've read it, and maybe book 2 we can talk again for book 2.
That sounds like a plan. Definitely.
All right. Awesome. I'm for it.
All right. So don't forget to check out the UCPN for all your favorite shows. You saw the advert earlier for the Old Timers Comic Book Show, and of course we've been talking DC. Check out the Definitive Crusade for all your DC comics across the range. The new episode that drops has a couple of mid-tweenies, mid-tweenies, whatever, the younger book type character. I'm a British guy, I don't know.
That's all right.
They're middle graders. There you
middle
go.
grades. Yep.
Books out there that feature a couple of Dark Knight detectives, or lesser than dark, I suppose, if it's middle grade. But there you go. Check it out for the reviews from those guys. All right, Jonathan, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. It's been so much fun.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed. And as for everyone else, I've been your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes. And as always, adios.
Visit undercovercapes.com for the latest and greatest podcasts via the Undercover Capes Podcast Network. Also visit our parent company website, comiccrusaders.com, all about comic pop culture.